So back in December, we booked a Disneyland trip for a June 10th arrival, but I'm sure as everybody knows, all of the Disney parks around the world are closed indefinitely. I know Disney themselves has definitely been hoping for a June 1st reopening because they've allowed people who had canceled reservations and they're allowing people to make new reservations for June 1st arrivals. However, who knows if that's actually going to happen? Who knows if the parks open then? It's even going to be safe to go. But regardless of what happens, I know someday I am going to be back at Disneyland and I have a few things on my bucket list that I really want to accomplish. And these are what I'll say are more of the mundane things. This is my realistic Disneyland bucket list, as opposed to my dream Disneyland bucket list, which is stuff like, be able to attend an after-hour party event, stay at the Grand Californian Hotel, get to go to Club 33. Those are all things that I can't easily make happen, but I can definitely dream about them one day. But I have a few very specific things on my Disneyland bucket list that, whether I get to go sooner or later to Disneyland, these are things I really want to accomplish. So I'm going to start off with something that's not necessarily a bucket list item, but something I have to do, and that is ride Rise of the Resistance. I can't necessarily put this as a bucket list item because it wasn't even an option. It wasn't open the last time I was there. But it's still a bucket list thing that whenever I do get to go, I have to ride that. I've definitely spoiled the ride a lot for myself. I've seen a lot of ride-throughs, but I find in instances like that, the real life is so different than anything you see on screen that you cannot capture the scope of anything. So although I know generally what happens, it's gonna be like a brand new experience whenever I do get to do it. So I have to ride Rise of the Resistance. But then the rest of the things on my realistic Disneyland bucket list are things that I've not yet been able to accomplish on any of my previous trips. And these are things that I most want to happen next. So top of that list is I really, really want to ride the Davy Crockett Explorer canoes. Last year we just kind of didn't have the time to make it work. But getting on those canoes is kind of like my number one thing I next want to do. And why I'm so kind of enamored and infatuated with the canoes is that it feels to me as close to original old school Disneyland as you can get. The canoes weren't an opening day attraction, but they're pretty close to it. And literally, you're just in a canoe boat going along the rivers of America. It's not a water ride attraction, although technically with the current, you don't really have to paddle, but you're literally just in a canoe. So to me, it seems like something so uniquely and quintessential and old school Disneyland. And I also think that it's kind of just such unique perspective and experience because you can ride on the rivers of America on these larger ships, but you just being in there in a little canoe, there's just something super exciting and appealing about that to me. I have not yet ridden on any vehicle through the rivers of America. My first Disneyland trip there, everything was closed in that area because they were building Galaxy's Edge and rerouting the railroad. But I've still never been on the Mark Twain or the Columbia, so I do think it would be fun to eventually take a ride. I'd probably be most interested in the Mark Twain, but I want to make sure I get on those canoes first. I'm still including this item next, even though this is technically something I won't ever be able to do, but it's that I need to get some Mickey beignets from the Mint Julep Bar. I, to date, have still never had a Mickey beignet, but one of the most popular mouse ears that I make are beignets. But I at least have to get the beignets to be able to do a fun photo shoot with the ears. I've never even really been in the area of the Mint Julep Bar. I've never ordered anything from there. But this is also something that now can never actually happen in my bucket list because I can't actually eat the Mickey beignets anymore. I now have an extremely bad wheat sensitivity. I was scheduled for an endoscopy where they were going to actually biopsy me and see if I had celiac, and they were going to biopsy my esophagus or see if it was something else with that. The 2 months prior, I had been eating pretty much fully gluten-free, but the month in preparation for that endoscopy, I had to eat wheat to be able to produce damage. But because of the coronavirus, my endoscopy was canceled, so I was left with just an insanely damaged system. having to eat wheat beyond absolutely destroyed me. I did end up in the emergency room twice. So now I unfortunately will never be able to know whether I actually do have celiac and it's a full gluten thing, or whether it's just a super, super strong wheat sensitivity. But as badly as I want to, I won't be able to eat the Mickey beignets, but I still need to buy them next time. Another thing on my bucket list that I want to accomplish that I guess is in a similar vein to the Mickey beignets, but that is going to Trader Sam's. Trader Sam's is the tiki bar at the Disneyland Hotel. I pretty much never go to bars because I cannot drink. You're gonna get the sense and pattern that I have a lot of dietary issues, but pretty much the only thing I can safely drink is water. I can't have anything that's super sugary or acidic or carbonated or caffeinated, and especially nothing with alcohol. So I can't really partake in any of the fun drinks of Trader Sam's. When I like to really treat myself with a drink, and if I'm feeling good, I'll get a little Shirley Temple. But I feel like for me, just like being able to be at Trader Sam's and like experience the classic ambiance there, that would be enough. Likewise, I really also want to be able to visit Oga's Cantina. When I was at Galaxy's Edge last year, that was during the 4-hour reservation period, so the land wasn't yet widely and publicly open, and so if you wanted to go to the cantina, you had to line up super far in advance and basically literally run there. So I'd really like to be able to check out the cantina, again, mostly kind of for the ambiance, but what I can get and drink there is they offer the blue milk. It's a slightly different blue milk than the one that they offer at the milk stand. I am a very big fan of blue milk. It is a wonderful, fruity, dairy-free drink. So you'll definitely be able to find me enjoying some blue milk at the cantina next time I'm at Disneyland. There are a few attractions that I've not yet ridden that I do want to ride. There's some attractions that I have not ridden because I do not ever want to ride them, like Mickey's Fun Wheel. But things like I've never been on Autopia, I've never done Goofy Sky School. I'm trying to think if there's anything else like that that I haven't yet ridden that I want to, but I think it's mainly those two rides. And it's just that they before have never really been a top priority. It's like I'd rather be able to ride like Space Mountain 2 times and Pirates of the Caribbean 3 times rather than like spend the time in line for that or use a fast pass on those rides. But now that I've kind of been able to experience most everything else and multiple times, those are 2 rides that I would be able to check off my bucket list. I guess this also does technically count as an attraction, and what I have not done yet and really want to do is ride the monorail from Disneyland Park to Downtown Disney. Last year, I finally rode the monorail from Downtown Disney to the Disneyland Park, and that was actually the longest wait for like anything we had that whole trip. And a big problem was that so many people had taken the monorail from the park and were just not getting off. They were doing a full circle around. So I've only been able to see like one half of the monorail loop, and I really need to see the other half. So I don't necessarily have to or want to do a full circle loop on the monorail, but I really do want to take it from inside the Disneyland Park to Downtown Disney and see what else I'm missing on that monorail. There are also some specific attraction experiences I want to have, and that relates to riding some rides at night. I have always wanted to ride the Incredicoaster at night because it's extra lit up. They have the tubes with neon lights at night, and a lot of rides at night can be a pretty different experience, but timing wise, it just never worked out to be able to do that at the nighttime. So I'm really excited to, whenever it happens, one day be able to ride the Incredicoaster at night. The other thing I really would like to experience at night is the Matterhorn. I've only ever ridden the Matterhorn like pretty early in the morning. The Matterhorn is something that is like so quintessential Disneyland. I grew up watching the Disneyland Fun sing-along song, and like when it kind of like dips into the water for the break point, like that was such an iconic moment and imagery for me. But actually riding the Matterhorn itself, it is not the most comfortable experience. It is pretty rickety. It's something that you kind of like have to do, but then also it's not super worth like a wait or necessarily using a fast pass slot. So that's why I've only ever done it in the morning, but I think a ride like that would be really awesome and interesting to ride at night when everything's a little bit extra dark. But I think those are really all the primary things that are left on my realistic Disneyland bucket list. Like I think in terms of dining, I've been able to eat at pretty much every place that I'd really wanted to at Disneyland. All the food everywhere is so great. Like I remember for last trip, one of my bucket list things was be able to get a corn dog from the Little Red Corn Dog Cart, but we also got to do Blue Bayou last time. We did Lamplight Lounge. Previous trips I had done Carthay Circle. So I guess really the one place that would be nice to go to that I haven't been to is Steakhouse 55 at the Disneyland Hotel. I haven't been to Napa Rose, and I'm not including that with this because that kind of belongs in the dream bucket list. But it's been really fun to be able to already chalk off a number of things on my bucket list from previous trips. And whenever I am back in the parks next, hopefully I'll be able to check a lot of these off the list. But I'd love to know what are some of your top kind of realistic or more mundane Disney bucket list items, whether it's for Disneyland or Disney World, or even an international park if that's one of your home parks. Even though there's still so much uncertainty in the world, it's nice to know that at least one day I'll hopefully be able to accomplish these items. But thanks for watching!